Hello everybody and welcome back to the Leeds Lens for your relegation wrap-up Sunday night show. And what a great weekend it has been for Leeds United this weekend. It's been fantastic. It's been absolutely fantastic. At the start of the weekend, if you'd have said that we would match West Ham points, we'd get more points this weekend than Nottingham Forest and more points than Tottenham Hotspur, I don't know what I'd have done. I'd have been running around crying, screaming, maybe not crying. I'd have been happy is what I'm trying to say. And that's how it's worked out. And I do think this is a big weekend for Leeds United. I haven't seen it actually too much in around sort of Leeds United fans. I think I think we've took a huge step this weekend, actually. I know we haven't won the game against Villa. I know, obviously, I came down and maybe was a bit downbeat yesterday on the video. But it's because I thought West Ham were going to win. I thought West Ham would beat Bournemouth. I thought when we had such an opportunity against Villa, I thought that was our opportunity blown then to keep them. But obviously, Bournemouth did a massive favour getting a draw there. And actually, Ryan was quite close to winning the game. And then today, thinking, oh, okay, West Ham, we've got away with West Ham. And I still think they're the ones that we're going to send down, if anyone. I know they're probably playing better than other teams. But I think they're still the ones to send down. But then you look around, and Nottingham Forest, of course, as well. Losing in the 97th minute today against McAllister, and they'll be absolutely gutted with that. That's happened twice on the trot now at home to Liverpool for them. They happened last year with Darwin Núñez, this year with McAllister, who actually had one ruled out in the 92nd minute, but then obviously he scored right at the end. And then another huge result for Leeds United, and I think that will crush them. And you saw how, what's he called, the new manager that's come in there? One of you will say, but you saw the reaction of Victor Pereira at the end there, and he was like punching the dugout in frustration. And I feel him, because I can understand how, as a Forest fan, you'd feel after that. That will be absolutely crushing, and that's why I think it's important. And something I probably missed yesterday when we talked about when we talked about the game was that's how important it was yesterday for Leeds United. That's how important it was that we I know we conceded late, but we still had 7 more minutes to play, and we still hung on for a point. And you look at you look at Nottingham Forest today, and they had 30 seconds to hang on for, and they didn't manage it. And I think that's a massive, massive failure on their behalf, and I think that will really crush them. They've got Brighton away after that, and then I think they've got maybe Man City away. Or it's another particularly tricky away game anyway after that, and I think they're in as much bother as anybody at this moment in time. As I said, I still sort of maintain for me that West Ham are the team that you're gonna have to target. I still think they're the team that's going to go down, because truthfully, we've got them 6 points on West Ham. And truthfully, obviously, if we're going to win a few more games, say if we win 2 more, say we win 3 more games in the rest of the season, which I think we probably should with the games that we've got coming up. If we win 3 more, they've got to win 5 just to match us. And are they going to win 5 realistically when they've only won 6 all season? I just don't see it happening. So look, I think we're in a brilliant position now. I really do. I honestly think this week is a game-changing week. I said before going into this weekend that we're gonna have to sort of bite our lips a bit and bite our tongues a bit this weekend, because it's gonna get a bit nervy. It's gonna get a bit closer, and it hasn't done. And I genuinely believe that this weekend has been a huge step in the right direction for Leeds United to stay in the league. And actually, if you look, this isn't just a me thing. Like, I wanted to back this up with points. And even if you look around the odds of Leeds United's chance of relegation right now, it's up to say have it at 2.74, I believe, chance of Leeds United getting relegated. And the bookies have got Leeds United you can actually back Leeds United to be relegated at 14-1 now. And obviously, if you can back them at 14-1, that means the odds are higher than that, because obviously naturally the bookies need a profit margin. So actually, they probably believe there's probably a 16, maybe like a 5%, less than 5% chance as well that Leeds United get relegated. So this weekend should have been a swinging weekend for likes of West Ham. For me, I know they seemed sort of pleased with a draw, especially with obviously the Forest, but let's let them battle it out. And I think that's where we're at now. Let them battle it out. We'll focus on our own game. And I think we can. I do think with our games coming up, obviously we've got Man City next weekend, which is going to be a very tricky one for Leeds United. Of course it is. But when we get that out of the way, obviously West Ham next week can play against Liverpool as well. Get that out of the way, and then of course we can sort of hopefully start to progress up the league and sort of hopefully cement our survival in a nice way, really. And I think that's the way we're heading at this moment. Andy says, have you seen that over the last 10 matches we have the easiest easier fixtures than West Ham 8 out of our last 10 games? Yeah, I have, mate. I have. And it's something, truthfully, and it's something we've talked about on this channel for a long time. We've said I think we've been talking about the last 10 games for Leeds United for probably since Christmas now. We've always looked at that Sunderland home game from that period, and I always said in my head, if we can get to that point outside the relegation zone, we should be all right. And now, of course, even if West Ham beat Liverpool next weekend, which I don't think they will, and we lose to Man City at home, which is plausible, even if that happens, we will still be 3 points ahead of them going to them last 10 games. And I think that's absolute worst case scenario. Truthfully, that's probably not going to happen. And actually, probably worst case scenario is maybe they get a draw and we lose. And to be going into it with 5 points ahead in them last 10 games, there's no reason then why Leeds United shouldn't stay up. And you can tell by that when you look around at how other sort of fan bases are talking about Leeds United. No, West Ham fans are not talking about Leeds. Forest fans are not talking about Leeds. Spurs fans are not talking about Leeds. None of them in these teams are talking about Leeds United because we're not the team to focus on at this moment in time. And I love that. I just like the fact we've got this bit of a sort of breach at this moment. Mosh says, what a set of results. It could have been a fantastic weekend, but in the end, it was a great weekend. Games starting to run out. Exactly. And as I said, if you look through this weekend, mate, you could argue we had the hardest game on paper of all the bottom 4 teams. All the teams that I've got on the thumbnail. So Spurs, Forest, West Ham, and of course, not Forest, West Ham, and Spurs. You could argue we had the worst games of all them teams. And we've actually got the joint best result. And 2 of the teams lost. So we've actually made ground on Spurs and Liverpool. It's honestly, couldn't have been better. And then we obviously talk about Spurs then. And again, Spurs, apparently $2 going to make a huge impact. We thought Spurs didn't happen. They were awful again today in a pretty pitiful performance. And the only reason they actually scored a goal was because sort of Declan Rice made a massive error. And this is an Arsenal team, by the way. We played an Arsenal team, in my opinion, that were absolutely on it. They were fantastic against us. They played an Arsenal team who just bottled it away at Wolves, who drawn away as well in the game against, who else did they draw against? Anyway, they've drawn 2 games on the trot. And it looked at it and you're going, oh, God, they're a bit vulnerable. It's big North London derby, maybe expecting a big performance from Spurs, new manager, etc. And again, they lose. And I think that's important. But I think fundamentally, underpinning all this, I do think the club and the manager deserve huge credit for where we are, because it's not just, these are the teams, yes, have done badly this weekend, but we've put ourselves in this position. We're on a points total that should be nowhere near relegation. And actually, we're only 4 points behind where we were under Bielsa, and we finished 9th in the division. We should be nowhere near relegation. And the fact that we are is credit to other teams around us. On normal years, like West Ham now have got as many points as Leicester did in the whole of last season, who finished 18th. So we'd be home and dry now. We'd be absolutely home and dry last season. But we're not, because of other teams doing really well. But the board and Daniel Farke, etc., just deserve huge credit for the situation they've put us in. They really do. And I think when you look around, I do think stability, we talked about stability a lot this season, and I do think stability has sort of come to pass, and I think you've seen the impact of stability at this moment in time, because we're getting the best results of all the teams, and everybody else down there has sacked their managers at least once. We didn't do that. We went for stability, and it's paid dividends. We've got better results than all of them. We've picked up the most points out of them teams in the last 10 games, and we're showing, I think we're showing a better level of performance than them teams. And we don't get beat very often. We've now lost, 2 in 16 games that we have. If you can obviously include the cup games. Without them, we've lost 2 in 14. And even the game we lost, one of the games we lost was Newcastle in the 100th minute. The latest goal of any Premier League team conceded this year. And obviously the other one was Arsenal. So we are in a good space now. We really are. And I every weekend you chip off and you go, right, that's going to be a swinger weekend. And it hasn't been. And I do think we're getting closer now. I really do. So yeah, I'm honestly really pleased this weekend. I come out of it just beyond pleased about where it's come to be. Sean says, it's so difficult to predict. I didn't expect Brighton to get anything at Brentford. Plenty of unexpected results yet to come. Potentially, mate, potentially. But I mean, as I said, everyone and the dog is backing Leeds United to get out of this. Now, I know last season, for example, I think we were at one point when we were going for promotion last year, I think we were about 10 points clear at one point. And the bookies had us like 1 to 100 to get promoted or something ridiculous. And I know we did actually end up getting promoted, but we basically blew it, didn't we? When we drew away at Luton and we fell out of the top 2. I think we would have fallen at the top 2 had Sheffield United won, of course. They didn't do, and then obviously we went on a fantastic streak after that and won our remaining games. So it can happen with Leeds United, and we have seen fails with Leeds United before. We've been in brilliant positions and it's all fallen away. But we don't look like we're going to do that this moment, do we, in truth? We don't look like that. I mean, there's no feeling that that's going to happen because we're not losing enough games. We're going to have to start losing serious amounts of football games. We've lost 2 in our last 16. We're going to have to stop that, to stop us getting to a point still that's going to get us promoted. We'd have to lose probably, we've lost, as I said, 2 in 16. In our next 12, we'd have to losing 2 in 16 to losing something like 7 in 12 to find ourselves in a relegation position. And even if we did that, potentially if you won 3 of them games, you'd still be all right. So it is looking good now. It really is. Mosh says, I'm coming to Leeds for Calgary, Canada. I have a ticket for the Sunderland game and hoping to get a ticket for the Norwich game. Yeah, mate, I think you could be expecting 2 wins there. Because also as well, all this about sort of Sunderland, about how fantastic they've been, and oh wow, the recruitment of Sunderland, and all this fantastic stuff, and Regis Labrie, and well, they're 5 points ahead of us now, and they've just lost 4 of the last 5 games, and they lost again at home to Fulham, who we just beat at home a few weeks ago, and we've still got Sunderland to play at home. If we beat them at home, we're only 2 points behind them, and we play them in 2 games time as well. So all this praise about Sunderland, about how brilliant they are and how much we want it to be Sunderland, how ambitious they were, and all this fantastic stuff with Sunderland. Well, we could be 2 points behind them in a few weeks' time. So, you know, pressure is easing off because of our performances against top 6 sides. Faith in Fark, match on together. And also we've been beating teams around us. We just beaten Nottingham Forest at home. That was a huge result for Leeds United, that one. It really was. It shocked me how bad Spurs were. You'd have to imagine they've been up for it with a new manager, bounce, but clearly not. The thing is, Ollie, with Spurs, someone messaged me after the game who's actually a Bradford fan of all teams, and he asked me, how many Spurs players, we know Spurs have got loads of really good players. A lot of them are injured, though. Majority of their team is injured. So someone said to me, right now, with the team you played against Villa and the team that Spurs played against Arsenal, how many Spurs players will get into the Leeds United team at this moment in time? And being an absolute push, I said 5, an absolute push. And that was including people like, so Van der Ven obviously would get in, I think we all agree with that. Who else was in there? There's a few others anyway. There was 5 that I could name, and I was being really generous to Spurs. And a lot of you would argue even less. So Spurs are where they are right now because they're not, that team that they are fielding at this moment in time, because of the injuries they've got, is absolutely shambolic. The thing with Spurs, though, and the reason I still don't think that they're going to be relegated, even though they've probably been the worst team, well, in the last 7 games, I think they've lost 5 and drawn 2. I think they picked up 2 points from the last 7 games. So they are the worst team in terms of points over the last 7. The reason I don't think they're going to go down, though, is they have got players that when I think they come back from injury, I do think then they'll win games, and then I think they'll be all right. That's how I feel it's going to go with Spurs, if I'm being honest. So that's why I still don't feel that. But for me, it's going to be. I think it's going to be Forest or West Ham, and that's not obvious to say because they're the bottom 2. But I think it will be one of them 2. I still think it will be West Ham because of them little points that they've got. But I do think it's going to be one of them 2 now. I really do. Forest and West Ham dropped points this week, and we're more than 9 points up with 10 games left. I'd say we're very safe, and we're going to focus on the Cup. But we don't want to focus on the Cup yet, mate. That's probably slightly too early to talk about. But obviously, we have got that Norwich at home game, and it'd be nice, actually, to feel very settled in the league going into that game, wouldn't it, for sure? Well, we went for stability, but Fark never changed to a back 3 at City. We would have lost 4 and 5. And he'd likely have got the sack within that week. He deserves credit for his surprising adaptability. He does, mate. He does. Because let's be honest, as much as if Fark deserves credit for what he's doing now, he deserves credit for what he's doing now because the amount of abuse he got after that Man City game or before that Man City game was unbelievable. I honestly can't believe how much abuse he got. So we now need to do the same in reverse side and give him the credit that he deserves because it's been good. Gipton White says, not a bad weekend, could have been better, but would have taken beforehand. 100%, mate. I'd have absolutely snapped your hands off beforehand for how it played out. And I think, and you can tell by that, because if you watch a Leeds match reaction from any Leeds content creator this week, or look at any of the Leeds hashtag on Twitter, or however you want to search it, and talk about Leeds fans and how they're feeling coming out this weekend, and then if you look at how our Forest fans are feeling coming out this weekend, and how West Ham fans and how Spurs fans are coming out this weekend, it's very, very different. Leeds fans, very optimistic, looking really good. Them 3 teams, we're all going to get relegated. It looks horrendous, and that's because that's the case. That's because that's the situation they're in. I also think as well, truthfully, I think we over big up the other teams more than ourselves. Like everyone tells me that West Ham are going to win all these games and they're going to be fantastic. I remember when they beat Burnley away in a game which they should be winning because Burnley are absolutely tripe. And everyone were like, oh yeah, that's West Ham. West Ham are coming for us, blah, 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 blah. It was all negative. It was all absolutely awful. And truthfully, then I said, well, look, let's have a bit of calm here, because they've got Man United next and they've got Bournemouth. Let's see how many points they pick up in them games. Let's see if they get 2 more wins in then, and then we can really start talking. And they haven't done. They've dropped points in both games. Dropped points in the 97th minute against Man United in a 1-1 draw, and dropped points and didn't score at home to Bournemouth, who concede absolute boatloads of goals. And that was actually one of their best games the rest of the season. And now they've got to go to Anfield. So I think we overrate some of these teams. I also think with West Ham as well, I've seen a huge difference with West Ham since Pablo's huge for that West Ham team, and he obviously was one of the January signings. And since he's come out of that team, it's made a huge difference to them, in my opinion. They don't look anywhere near as threatening. I think it's made Jared Bowen much worse. I think Somerville's struggling a bit more now. He's not getting as many goals as he was in that purple patch. I think what's happened naturally is they had 4 attackers against 4 defenders in most cases, because they were playing sort of a 4-2-4. They had Bowen, Somerville, and then Pablo and Castellanos up front. And now they've only got Castellanos up front and the 2 wide men. The 2 wide men are not getting as much space and as much time on the ball as they were when Pablo was up there as well, because he was obviously occupying another body. And I think that's caused them a problem now. And I don't think Bowen's not been great since it's happened. Somerville looks good at times and he's very sharp in moments. But he's not been as, the goals have not been there like they were a few weeks ago. West Ham at Anfield next. Yep, I would rather have the points in the bag than having to chase teams. Points to Premier League are hard to gain, 100%, mate. But we haven't even got. They haven't. So if West Ham had our fixtures and we had their fixtures, I'd still be concerned. But West Ham have horrendous fixtures and we have really good fixtures. And also, even if West Ham start improving, well, we're doing better than Forest as well. So it's not like they're going to catch us. They're going to catch Nottingham Forest. Do you know what I mean? It's like, and then if they don't, and if they catch Nottingham Forest, then they might catch Spurs. But it doesn't mean that they're going to catch us, because even if West Ham finish above, even if West Ham got an unbelievable run and finish above Leeds United right now, we'd have to then finish above Spurs, who are playing much worse than us, and of course Forest, which I just don't think I think we will finish below Spurs, if I'm being honest. But I can't see where we'll finish below Forest. Or West Ham. I really can't. And actually, to be fair, Forest were quite good in the first half today, but I just don't see it. And if you watch as I said, if you watch them games and you watch the other teams and you watch how Leeds United play, we're just better. We're a better team. We are a better team. And the thing is with Leeds at the moment, we actually are a good team. Like, you watch us. And like we went to Villa Park yesterday, and I wasn't that surprised we got a result. I wasn't that surprised. I thought we could go there and get a 1-1. Even when we were doing the review before the game, maybe a few months ago, I'd been saying we're going to go there and lose 3-0. I said a 2-1 loss to Leeds, but I said it'd be really tight, and it was really tight. And they obviously, it wasn't a 2-1 loss, it was a 1-0, which was much better. But we're a good team, and we went, as I said, we went to Villa, neutralised them, got ourselves 1-0 up, scored a worldie, and then defended well, and unfortunately conceded right at the end. But we still got a result in the game, and we've done that consistently. We went to Newcastle and we were really competitive. We went to Everton, really competitive. We went to even Man City a few months ago and really competitive. And we'll see how we get on next week. The only team that have beaten us since we've gone to this system convincingly is Arsenal. Nobody else has done that. So we've played 16 games of footy since we changed this system. We've played Liverpool twice. We've played Arsenal. Have we played Man City? No, we have. Man City in the second half, which we won the second half when we changed that system, by the way. We've played Chelsea twice. We've played all these teams. Played Newcastle away. And only one team has beat us convincingly in 16 games. And we're playing in the Premier League for 14 of them. And now we're going to go and lose the next 10. I just don't see it happening. And I think that's, as I said, this is why Opta's got us at a 2.5 chance of getting relegated. This is why you can now bet on Leeds United to be relegated at 14-1. My opinion of remaining fixtures, easy run to a hard run would be Leeds, Spurs, Forest, and then West Ham with the hardest running. Yeah, I agree. We've got the easiest running. And Spurs is actually, I know they've got a few tricky games coming up, but it does get a bit easier for them. I think they'll be all right, as I said. And West Ham have the hardest. I mean, in the next 4 games, West Ham have got, I believe they've got Liverpool away, Fulham away, Man City at home, Aston Villa away. And they've got to make 6 points on us, and they're their next 4. Imagine if we were them. Honestly, it's crazy. I'm actually totally blinded. I'm so wish I could have seen our goal yesterday. I'm actually totally blinded, and I'm so wish I could have seen our goal yesterday. That's a shame, mate. It was an absolute worldie, mate. 39 yards out, whipped into the top corner. It was what you would call an absolute cracker. It really was. It was fantastic. But yeah, as I said, that is the show today. I hope you've enjoyed it as always. As I said, if you could drop a like, subscribe, all that good stuff does massively help the channel. And also, if you've just started watching, we have talked about Leeds United now for about 20 minutes, so you're more than welcome to skip back, talk about listen to the rest of the relegation conversation with you guys, obviously involved as always. But other than that, what a weekend for Leeds United, and we're back tomorrow talking about some more Leeds United news. And yeah, we can talk about what is next for Leeds United. And all that good stuff. Anyway, I'll see you then, everybody. Thanks for watching, as always. As I said, like, subscribe. I'm a new channel, trying to get to 2,000. If you could do that, that would be brilliant. On that, I'll see you later, everybody. Bye for now.